Tack så mycket. Jag brukar inte vara nervös när jag ska prata, men idag är jag nervös. Mest för jag tror att jag pratar för länge, så det vill jag inte göra. Okay, but anyway, I'm sorry I have to talk in English because my experience are all in other countries, so it's easier for me. Actually, the songs Shining Fatherland, this was the first song I learned when I joined the church in Germany. And then the song Father was some Norwegian member who wrote the song, and it was just before we went to America. We had a big meeting for Christmas in Germany, and we were singing this song, and I really loved that song. So there's some deep connection. Okay, nu ska jag vara. So this is the title, My Life as God and True Parents. Actually, if you have a normal life, like you're born, you go to school, you study, then you marry, have children, grandchildren, and die. This kind of life I never wanted to have. I wanted to have a exciting life, you know. So I thought many times, what's the purpose of all this, you know? So I wanted an exciting life. So anyway, I was born in this small town in the east of Bavaria, actually only 4 kilometers from the Czechoslovakia, it was at this time, Czechoslovakian border. So actually this is a place where we had, it was Iron Curtain at this time. So we went for Sunday walks, there was all these electric fences and the watchtowers, you know, and as a child I couldn't understand why people have to be locked in, you know. It was very difficult to see that. But also it is a really Catholic town. So the church, you can see there was the center, and the pubs around, of course, also. And so my family, my mother was a traditional Catholic. My father actually, I think through the war, he lost his faith. So he became a socialist. It's very unusual in this town. But he always went to church because he didn't want to fight with my mother. She was a strong lady. So, and actually we had, in our neighborhood, we had one family who were Protestant because they originally lived in Schlesien, which became Poland after the war. So they all had to leave. And then they had this house, and they had actually 9 children, but we were not allowed to play with these children because they are in the wrong church. So also I was wondering why God is so small-minded, why he doesn't love these children. I couldn't understand. So many things I couldn't understand. So this is me. Wow. I was 5 years old. This is the youngest picture I found. It was a parade from the Catholic Church. Wow. Wallfahrtsnos från Leichnam. So my mother was very proud about this picture. It was hanging in her sleeping room, big one. She thought, here you were still beautiful because I took care of you. My mother was very outspoken, like me. So, wait a minute. Yeah. Then this is my family and some friends. So you can see to the left, the lady with the black hair, this is my mother. And my father is on the right, tall guy. And beside him is my elder brother, he's 5 years older than me. And then that's me, a real Bavarian girl. And my younger brother to the left. And these people, they are friends, because my parents, they rented out rooms in the summer because this is a good air place somehow. So actually, looks like Solveig. Really? Oh, okay. So the next picture. So this is my brothers and me in front of our house. They were already older, 16 or something, I would say. And then a big influence in my life was actually my grandmother, who is there to the left. The other is my aunt and father and uncle. And she was really devout Catholic. She wanted to become a nun when she was young, but she wasn't allowed. She had to marry a farmer. And then she had this really big book with the life stories of all the saints. She was reading this every day, so she read it for us. She was living with us for many years, so she read it to us also. So that was, also wanted to become a saint, when I read these stories. And then another important person in my life was my friend Anne-Marie, same name. And my family was traditional Catholic, not so deep. But her family was really devout. They had nuns and priests and cardinals and everything in the family. And her parents were really good people. They really touched me. We were there always, every Sunday afternoon we went there. So, and actually Anne-Marie, we always went for walks Sunday, and then we talked about how we should change the world. So we had really big plans. And we were very inspired by Mother Teresa and by, I don't know if you ever heard about him, Albert Schweitzer. Actually found this book in Sweden. So he was a special person. He was a son of a priest, and he studied theology and his science. He had 2 doctor titles, and he had a brilliant career in front of him. But then he heard about these children in Congo who had such a difficult life. So with 30, he started to become a doctor, and then he went there. So we always read about him, and so I always wanted to go to Africa also. This was also a dream of mine. So this was kind of influence in my life. And here you can see we were very active in the Catholic Church, Anne-Marie and me. We were youth leaders, and we went fundraising for Caritas. We went voluntary work in hospitals on Sunday, and we went, with 18, we went to see the Pope in Rome. That was we were very active. So therefore when I joined our church, it wasn't so new, everything for me. Yeah. So, but then, 2 things, maybe I have to have this picture. There's several things happened in my life of faith, and they made me think. Before I wasn't really thinking, I was just following. And so there was a religious teacher in high school, so he talked about the Trinity. So for me, I like to have order and know who is who and what position. And so I asked him, who is more important, God or Jesus or Holy Spirit or Mary, So then this priest, he said that this is a secret of God. So I got really upset, I don't like secrets. I want to have explanation. Then next time, the young priest you see there with the glasses in the middle, this one, actually he just came from theology studies, and then he went to my hometown to get some practice. And then he was a kind of intellectual. So on Sunday service, he talked about the Bible, and it is very symbolic. Then he talked about the story of Adam and Eve. It's really symbolic, he said. It's not real like it's in the Bible. So I believed everything, literally. So I was really thinking. So next time we had youth meeting, I asked him, so what does this mean, this symbolic story? Can you explain to me? But he didn't know. I thought, why? First he takes away my faith, and then he has nothing to give me. I was so upset. Really upset. So this priest, this priest is interesting. I met him later on. I was a pioneer near my hometown, and I met him on the street. And I told him, thank you very much, because of you, I met the Unification Church, because you made me think. He wasn't happy about it. So, and then the other thing was, this was the 3 questions, what is most important. Then on Good Friday in the Catholic Church, you have to go to church 3 times a day. And then you could do the cross way, like Jesus went. And in the night you have to watch on the grave, like a vigil thing. So I remember I was 17 years old. I was in my room and I looked at the cross, because every Catholic room has a cross inside. So I looked at the cross, and then I asked God, but why did Jesus have to die? I said, if I would have lived at this time, I would have followed him. I just couldn't understand it. So there I was with my 3 questions. But then the final thing which really brought me away was when I was 19, I went to Greece with a friend. I had some pen friends there. And then when I came home, I went to confession, because usually you have to go confession every month, all your sins. And then not to go Sunday service in the Catholic Church is a deadly sin. It's very heavy sin. So I confessed. I haven't been in church for 3 weeks. And then the priest, actually was an older, retired priest, but he helped out sometimes. So he said to me, how can you go in a country who doesn't have a Catholic church? If you would have died, you would have gone straight to hell, he said to me. I was so shocked. I was so upset. So I said, okay, this church is nothing for me. I love to travel. I want to travel. I cannot just go in Catholic countries, you know. So I was 19, so I started to liberate myself. But I went also away from home at 19. I lived in another town, so I didn't go to church anymore. Only when I went home to my parents, because I don't want to fight with my mother. So actually that's when my wilderness course started. So because I couldn't believe everything from the church anymore, so I was lost. But I really missed my childhood belief. You know, it was very, very difficult for me. But I always believed in God. I could never deny God. That didn't make sense to me. It was unlogical if there's no God. But I didn't know who God is. So this was the first 25 years of my life. And then August 1973, I came home from my holiday in Sweden, because my older brother, he was like a Sweden fanatic. He went every year. So I went actually with my both brothers, some friends, we were in Sweden and Finland. And always after holiday, I want to start a new life, you know, something. So I went to town. I just came Monday morning. I went to work, and then I want to go shopping, because shops close at 6 in Germany at this time. So I went to town, and this girl stopped me. And she asked me what I think about religion. And I didn't think much about religion at this time, so I told her. But she agreed with me somehow. And then I said, but I have no time now. I have to go shopping. I'll meet you afterwards. So I went to shop, and then I was like, I don't really have time. Should I really go back there? But then I thought, I have promised her, you know, she's a young girl, 17. I can't disappoint her like this. So I went back on the street to meet her. This is I forgot the picture now. This is when I graduated from high school. Can you see me? Yes. Good, the next. So this is where I lived in Nuremberg, the city. I worked in the tax office, and so anyway, there I met Christel, her name. So actually later on she told me she was shocked that I came back, because people always promise to come, but they don't come usually, but I came. So then actually so they were not really prepared, because they didn't think I'd come back. So she had to give me the first lecture. She was just 3 months in our movement. She had never given a lecture before. So she gave me Principle of Creation. So I didn't understand anything except Yang and Yin, and God is father and mother. I said, wow, that's great, you know, this really hit me. And because of that, I came back. And then, what was it? This is this, yeah. And then I knew God is most important also, very clear. And then next time I came, there was like a more professional sister who could teach about the fall. So she explained to me exactly, this priest couldn't explain to me, but she explained to me that it is misuse of love, very clear. And I mean, I worked in the tax office, I saw all these married men having affairs with other girls, you know, so I saw it very clear that this is the main problem. Huh? So it made really sense to me. And then third time I went there, they talked about that Jesus didn't come to die. You know, he came to be accepted, and we should follow him. I said, wow. I said, so why the Catholic Church is teaching that Jesus came to die, I asked. And then she told me, they don't know better. But for me, this was the answer. From after 8 years, I got this answer, you know. So after this, I didn't care anymore. For me, everything was clear. So so I heard all the lectures. I went to come back for 7-day workshop, and then I joined. So I gave up my job from tax office, which I was very happy to lose, and then gave up my apartment and my car, and went home to my parents and told them they were not happy. It took a long time. They were unhappy about this, but I just felt this is the way to go, because what is it? Because I told God, if I live at the time of Jesus, I will follow him, you know. So I thought, if this really true parents are Messiah, I have to follow, you know. There's no other way. I've promised to God. I have to keep my promise. So then I joined, and I moved in the center there in Nuremberg. And then actually when I was in Camberg on the 7-day workshop, there was just missionaries going to America, 35 missionaries from Germany and Austria. And I said, wow, I also want to go. And 3 months later I went. So that was amazing. I remember still, I had one suitcase. This was all things I had. And I went to America. I felt so free and so liberated. I didn't need anything, just my suitcase. It was so nice feeling. So then, what is the next? This question. This is later. Actually, I don't have so many pictures from America. I had a whole album, but somehow it got lost on the way, so I don't have so many. But I went to San Francisco first to join the German team, and that's first time I met true parents, because there was a banquet in San Francisco, and then Father spoke in Berkeley University for 3 evenings in the night. So when I came to this banquet, for me, I don't like this kind of events, you know, so posh, and I felt out of place there. And then True Father actually talked to the people there, and he was joking with them and talked like a very easy way. I said, no, this can't be the Messiah. No. I was so disappointed. I said, oh no, what did I do? But the next day, at the Berkeley University, he talked. No, this is not yet. He talked, and he talked the principle of creation, and he really gave the business, you know, and I was so inspired. Yes! That's it. And then a second day, I was looking forward, and I was out in San Francisco inviting people, and then this German shepherd bite me, and I had to go to hospital, and I couldn't hear True Father. I was so upset. I said, why happened this? But in the third night, I was there again. So this was quite an experience for me. And then after this, actually, True Father called everyone to Washington, D.C. So I want to show you this here. So we went from San Francisco all the way, all across America up to District of Columbia, D.C., Washington, D.C. So it was a 5-day trip in a van, and we were sleeping in motels. So True Father called all the teams, because he wanted to make new international team. Before they were national teams. And then especially one team he wanted to do Japanese and European American. So Mr. Sudo. This is the team. So that was interesting, because he asked Mr. Werner, he asked him to pick 16 German members. And then Mr. Werner went somewhere else, and then True Father came. He looked at all the 6 and he sent them all back. And then he handpicked us. So I was actually handpicked. And can you see Marie-Hélène also is there? No. In the middle? Can you see me? And Rosemary, if somebody knows, is there also. And Blondine, my friend from Canada, is there just beside Marie-Hélène, behind the sister. So this was team. So we all are handpicked. So because we were supposed to go afterwards to to prepare True Father's speech in all the different in America. So actually our team, number 4, let's have to go back. No. Yeah, our team is, you see the red points? The first was Rhode Island, then South Carolina, Columbus, South Carolina, then South Dakota, then Little Rock, Arkansas, and at the end Honolulu, Hawaii. So our team was there. I didn't like Honolulu, it was too hot. Can you imagine, go fundraising with Candice, door to door, inviting people in heat. God, but people were kind, they always give something to drink. So then, actually Mr. Suda's team was quite interesting because the only people who spoke English were the Americans. So the others, we all had kind of school English, and the Japanese couldn't speak English. And Mr. Suda, he just had a crash course of 4 months to learn English. So, and the assistant leader was also Japanese. So we were a very chaotic team. So actually in Honolulu, Truffaut called us together, and he was joking about us. He knew what we had gone through, you know. And then we got an American assistant leader, and then the things became a bit better organized. But it was so interesting because Father knew. Huh? He was laughing. We were telling, oh, now he's scolding, but he was just laughing. So then after this, what was it? Then we were witnessing and fundraising in Madison, Wisconsin. So this actually interesting areas. All the immigrants there from Germany or from Sweden, the Madison, Wisconsin. So I was there, we were witnessing university and fundraising. And there I have had 2 really deep experiences with God. I was out fundraising, and I'm not a very good fundraiser, just normal fighting on every day. Then I had this one day, I was happy somehow, and suddenly everybody I asked, like bought, everybody. You know, for 1 hour, I had nothing anymore, all my things. And I thought, wow, if you're one with God, it's like this is so easy, you know, very easy. Because I remember the Father said that mankind is like a train with 2 locomotives on both ends. So we are always like this and this, you know. But he said if you're the Messiah, you have 2 locomotives on one side and you chum. You know? So that's what and the same with witnessing. For 3 days, I went out and had a guest. So when they needed a guest, Anne-Marie go out, get a guest. 3 days, like this. And then finished. Then it was again normal. So I really experienced, if you want with God, our life becomes so easy, you know. So I want to have this kind of life, but I'm sorry I never had that again. But God gave me a lot in the first year to show me. And so what was the next? And the next was then Madison Square Garden. Have you heard about it? That we invited people to fill the hall. That was quite interesting. That's actually where True Father talked about the new future of Christianity. So we sent this book to all the Christian leaders all over America. So they all had a chance to know that. So actually, we filled the hall, and then after we had to work all night to put all the posters away in the city, because so it was clean, everything, so we made a good image. So then after Madison Square Garden, we went to East Garden, everybody, and then True Father wanted to make new teams to go to Japan and Korea. So I was handpicked again, twice. And so our leader was Mr. Vincent. So we went in 7 cities in America. And then end of December, we went from Los Angeles to Tokyo. So what is the next? This is the first global team here. So you see in the front, the Korean folk ballet that were with us in America. And then the New Hope singer, James was one of the New Hope singers. Yeah. And then the rest was about 300 Japanese and the others from all over the world. So we came to Tokyo, so we were in a big bowling hall or something. They welcomed us. And then we were separated in 3 teams, and we went a little everywhere in Japan. So we were there 3 months. Okay. Where I am now. At this time was True Father spoke. And so we went to different places to invite for True Father's speech. And then after we went to Korea, and that's where we had the Yoido rally. So that was in June 76. So we invited people, we went all over the place in the market. And then one experience I had there really told me about the Korean heart. I don't cry, I'm not crying. I'm always close when I think about this brother. Because there was one Korean leader, he went with me door to door to invite people. And then Mr. Vincent told us, don't take anything from the Koreans. They're very poor. You shouldn't take anything. But he very quickly found out that I like coffee and apples. So he bought me all the time, and I was so miserable because I said, we are not allowed to take, but I couldn't stop him, you know. And then at the Yoido rally, there was like 1 million people there. You know. And anyway, when it was finished, after people went away, and then this Korean leader came with his family, because they knew we go to Japan afterwards. So he came with a bag of apples. Can you imagine? He searched me, this 1 million people bring me a bag of. So I was so moved that I thought, this is incredible. And I want to give something, you know, but I had nothing. We had no money or anything. So, but I knew this German sister, she has money. She always gets from her parents. So I asked her, you have to give me money. I need just to buy some sweets for the children, you know. And she gave me, actually. And I was so relieved I could give something, you know. But I mean, this brother I will never forget. He totally invested his heart. And then I understood, when you give, you want to give more, you know. It's natural. So this was the most deep experience for me there in Korea. So then we went back to Japan. Then we went witnessing. This was Mr. Onishi team. Mr. Onishi was also a very nice leader and talked to us every morning. You know him, Julie, no? Yeah. He was in Hawaii leader also. So we were many different places also. And here I'm witnessing in Japan. With, I usually said, konnichiwa. Atarashi kangai arimasu. Kogi arimasu. Chikan arimasen. Arimasu ka? They said, no, I have no time. They said, chikan arimasen. They said, mondai nai, ikimasho. Let's go. That was my phrase. But then it didn't work. There were some Japanese members who helped us. But anyway, usually it was easy for us because many of them never had seen Western people before. So I remember I was standing in Shibuya station or Shinjuku station, and you were so used to everyone Japanese, and I saw these American soldiers. I thought, they look strange. Then I thought, oh, I look also so strange. You know, I forgot about it. So it was really interesting. So then the end of 75, we had to go back to Europe. So then we were in the European team in France, in Italy. Wait a minute, here. Now this is my last day in Japan. This was with my contacts. So some of my contacts. We had many contacts in Japan. So then we went to Europe. And then there was the European team at this time. So we joined the European team, and they went actually to Japan instead of us, the second global team. And so first we were in France, and I really had a hard time in France. I don't like so much France. So, but then we were looking forward. In February, they said, we are going to Italy. I love Italy, so I wanted to go. So then they told us, no, we are staying one more month in France. I said, oh no. But then I realized, if I don't love this country, I have to stay here forever. So I better love this country. So then actually I went to Grenoble. It was a very nice place in the mountains. And I found also one girl who joined. And So then I could overcome. And then actually then another major thing was 78. Everyone had to go to England because True Father was there and we had home church activities. He started there. It was in September or May 78. So I ended up in Birmingham. And also when I was in France, I had this difficult experience. This brother you see here, he was my leader there in France already. He's half Indian, half French. A French brother, but very fanatic. So very difficult for me. And we were fundraising on the street and then, working hard. And then in between we were talking with other members. And every time I talked with other members, he came there. He told me, don't you work here? I said, I worked all day, but I need a break in between. And this happened 3 times to me. And I tried to defend my, but I realized anyway, it doesn't matter what he thinks. God knows what I'm doing. It doesn't matter. So this really was a deep experience for me. It made me free, not too much think about people's opinion. I know what I'm doing. God knows, And then he became my team leader again in England, in Birmingham. Well, I thought I overcame everything with France, Heavenly Father. What happened? Then actually he made me his team assistant or the team mother. So that was very difficult. So after 1 month I was kicked out. And then very interesting experience because I was kicked out. I felt, of course, a loss of love. And then I was an Austrian sister, became the team mother. And then I talked to all the sisters how bad this sister is and how good I was, I did that, I wasn't conscious. Then I remember I was in the bathroom, just talked to the sister about how bad this other sister is. I walked in the bathroom, I looked in the mirror, and then some voice told me, Anne-Marie, what are you doing? Do you understand now why Cain killed Abel? I said, oh, nay, that's what I'm doing. So I got, wow. So actually God gave me many things to understand the principle deeply, So, oh no, so terrible what I'm doing. So from this time on, the sister I supported totally. I completely changed. And then, what was the next? Yeah. So this is really how I realized my fallen nature, how deep that is, that God gives you always a chance to overcome. No? But you have to realize it. And then the next, the next picture here. Yeah, this was in September 15, 1978. We all had to come together, and we should go to London. True Father wanted to meet everyone who is 2.5 or 3 years in the church. So we were wondering why have we to go to missionary work or maybe matching or something. So anyway, we went to London. I had dressed this red thing I had on me. And then when we came to London, actually, Father was speaking, and it was clear it was matching. So I said to God, please, Heavenly Father, give me somebody who is kind and loyal and leave me my freedom, So then I got matched with Fred Persson from Sweden. And then actually next day, one Korean leader talked to us about the meaning of the matching. He said, you all are here because you love God. And you say to God, I love you, and do this and that. And God listens patiently. Then God says, okay, now showdown time. What this means. Just love one person. That's all you have to do. One person. That sounds very simple. But this really hit me in the heart. So I decided to love Fred whatever happens. Because I kept promise to God. So then this was 78. And then, so 1981 we went back to Germany. And then I became a center leader in Bonn. I don't like to be a leader, I had a little bit in England, but very difficult for me. So then Mr. Vincent made me a leader in Bonn. And there were the German members in the center, and we came like the team from outside, with Japanese sisters. And so all the German members already were against us before we came, because we were the international team. And they thought we were arrogant and think we know better. So everybody was against me. And then also I have to do lectures, and I never did lectures. We always had people giving lectures. So I asked Mr. Vincent, can't you give me somebody who can give lecture in German also? I always be talking English. So he sent me a brother, but he didn't want to give lectures, so it was very difficult. Anyway, the good thing in Bonn was there was Waltraud. And another Austrian sister, Helga. They were not living in the center, but they're the only ones who supported me. So they really helped me a lot. And especially we had 40 hours street lecturing. And I had to start it. I thought I'd die. I said to myself, I will die. I cannot do that. But I had to do it. And then it became easier and easier. There was one sister from Sweden, Ann Löfgren, and then Helge from Norway. They were helping me also. So we three gave lectures, 40 hours. So Waltraud and Helga came and brought us food and brought us coffee, and they took really well care of us. So I didn't know we will both end up in Sweden, but so we became friends then already. But after this experience to be leader in Bonn with people who were against me, I got really worn out. So nowadays you say burnout. So I said to Mr. Vincent, I need a workshop, I can't take this anymore. So he took me to Frankfurt, and I was sleeping for 3 days. I've never experienced before. I was totally exhausted. So then I went to 40-day workshop to New York. Where I knew. Oh yeah, I forgot about. I should always look at the pictures. I forgot about. Actually, in England, Bon Phi Kim, he was our leader for European movement. He is the first disciple of true parents. And I remember he always talked to us about keep your promises and never let go of God. Even just if you hold his little finger, don't let go, he said. This also really impressed me. So anyway, then in Bonn, then I went to New York for the workshop. And who gave lectures there? Mr. Sudo. So 1 week, Mr. Sudo, I was up again. I was normal again. This workshop was so life-giving for me, and also thought there was many other brothers and sisters that they were sent there. But they didn't get anything out of it. But I really wanted to go. I really participated. I got really new life. So it was nice. And then what happened then? Then I got blessed in Madison Square Garden, 1st of July, 1982, together with Lawrence and Julie and Hans and Liliana and Laura and Johnny and Kenzo and Ingrid and Kikoko and Georg and Linda and Janja. So we were quite many. And that's also a story on the day of the blessing. I was, we should meet in the hotel downstairs, but I couldn't find Fred. So they said to me, everyone who cannot find each other, go in the ballroom. We're lost and found. So I had to go to lost and found. So I felt, oh God, maybe he chickened out. He doesn't want anymore. But he was there and lost and found. So we found each other. So we could go to the blessing. It was nice. Then after the blessing, all of us went out in New York in Korean restaurants, and everybody knew about this blessing. There was 2,075 people there. No? So the Korean restaurants, they all gave us cake, to congratulate us. It was really nice. We went actually together with Benny and his wife, Benny the artist. So it was nice. In the evening, we looked at E.T., this movie. So then... what was the next? Then the legal marriage in Stockholm, in Rådhuset. It was 3rd of August, 82. And here Fred is showing off his balancing skills. Yeah. And then October 1982, I came to Sweden. This was the Swedish family, basically, at this time. Do you recognize everyone? Oh. Then, so we were not so many families at this time, but this was the first 3 children. Karin and Soyon, me and Solveig, and Mrs. Yama something. This Sakika was her name. So there was the first 3. So actually, talk about all my life becomes too long. So I basically stop here when we come to Sweden. When I came to Sweden, so that's 40 years more to go. So if you're interested, I can talk another time. But anyway, what did I learn from all this time? I told you some about my fallen nature, which I realized deeply. But also one thing, and this is our family now. When I came to Sweden, I was one person, and Fred was one person. Now this is our children and in-laws, and not all of them. But so this is another 40-year story, how we came there. So, but the things I realized, that God always hears our prayer, but the fulfillment is often different from what we imagine. We have to be open-minded and attentive. You know, when I was young, I wanted to save the world. I wanted to travel all around the world, but I never imagined that I will be a missionary. You know, I just thought about fun trip. You know, so, but this was much deeper, much better. If you, as a tourist, you will never get to know people. But I mean, how many people you meet in this time? It's amazing, you know. So, and the other thing was important for me. This is from Divine Principle. God teaches us that fallen people must constantly seek for an able-type person. By honoring, obeying, following, we can accomplish God's will even without understanding every aspect of it. This also helped me a lot, because always to look for people who are better than me, whom I can learn from. So I don't have to find out everything myself. You know, it takes too long time. So this was also very important for me. So when I think about this is 35 years of my life. I mean, what I have experienced and learned, it's amazing. My life was really exciting. I wanted an exciting life. I didn't want, remember, boring life? I said in the beginning. So God fulfilled all my wishes, you know. So I feel always God is with me and listening, but He fulfills things in a different way than I think. So we have to be open-minded. So, that's what I basically wanted to share with you today.